How many times have you downloaded yet another image just to get a simple circle texture in your games? Particles, range indicators, lighting, and masks, almost every game uses circle textures in one way or another. And most of us still import them as PNG images. Today, I want to show you how to create perfect circle textures for your games directly in Godot using the GradientTexture2D resource. A lot of developers rely on asset packs for simple shapes, especially circles. That works great, but it still means importing more assets, having to manage resolutions, and locking yourself into specific texture sizes. But it turns out Godot already has a built-in way to make these circles. With GradientTexture2D, we can generate circle textures procedurally, control how faded the edges of the circles are, and reuse the texture across multiple sprites, shaders, and the UI. GradientTexture2D is a texture 2D that fills itself using a color gradient. Instead of using pixels in a pre-made texture, this object defines the texture by smoothly blending from one color to another, either in a straight line or, for our purposes, radially. When you switch the fill type to radial, the color gradient becomes a circle that can be centered, adjusted, and fully customized for your needs. Once you have a circle texture, it can be used in a bunch of different ways in game development. For example, they work great for particle effects and sprites. You can use them as soft masks inside shaders. They're perfect for showing enemy detection and vision range. They can be used to define placement areas for buildings and game objects. You can preview spell effects or explosions with them, and they even work for simple lighting and fading glow textures. The key advantage is one texture reused in many different ways. Let's build one from scratch. First, create a new resource and choose GradientTexture2D. Give it a name and save it. Next, open the resource into the inspector. Set the width and height to something like 32 by 32. It's usually enough. Because this is a gradient, even low resolutions look smooth, but you can adjust this as needed. Next, set the fill type to radial. This tells Godot to interpolate the colors outward from a center point, instead of simply going from left to right in a straight line. Now, you want to center the texture. Set the from values to 0.5, 0.5, the exact center of the texture, and set the to values to 0.5, 0, straight up, which defines the radius direction. Next, you can define the colors in the gradient. Open the gradient editor. Set the first color stop to white and fully opaque. Set the last color stop to be fully transparent, or if you prefer, fully black. If you flip the default order where 0 is fully on and 1 is transparent, you get a clean circular fade out. The next part can be an important step depending on your specific needs. Move the color stops closer together for a sharper edge. Spread them apart for a softer fading fall-off. You can control both points to make different styles of circles. These adjustments control whether your circle feels like a hard mask or a smooth glow. Now that we have the circle texture, we need to use it. Open a Sprite 2D and load your new texture into it. And you can reuse it anywhere on sprites, materials, shaders, your UI, or any other VFX. And you can even see changes to the circle in real time in the editor if you update the resource. You can set the colors on the gradient to whatever you need. You can even add more than 2 colors for more fancy circles or rings. One powerful trick that I use is to keep the gradient partially transparent, going from fully white to fully transparent, and doing all the actual coloring in a material or a shader. That makes the same circle texture work for enemy vision, UI highlights, and other effects. If you need a more stylized or hand-drawn look, or if you don't want to take the tiny performance hit of using procedural textures, then a simple PNG can still be the right choice. But these gradient circles really shine when you want something reusable or easy to animate. So, GradientTexture2D is one of those small tools in Godot that can quietly replace a bunch of small assets. Once you start using it, you'll stop downloading circles for the simple things, and start generating exactly what your game needs. Try using one in your own project and see how far you can push it. If you found other interesting ways to use these gradient circles in your Godot projects, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching the Pathfinder's Codex, and as always, never stop trying new things.